I'm joined now by William Abur, who is a Sudan affairs analyst and lecturer in social work at University of Melbourne. William, great to have you on with us. The U.S., of course, has a long history of sanctioning Sudan. Do you think these sanctions will have any effect in ending this conflict?
Not at all. Not at all. This sanction will not work for the Sudan and for the general that are involved in the war, because most of them got nothing to do with U.S. So they have no. They are from a middle class families or middle class group, and all the young people that are being recruited in the military and also in both parties got no much connection with the Western world, and therefore the sanction will not make any difference to the general. So I would suggest that US need to think about some strategies to engage the two parties rather than imposing the sanction that does not make any impact, that does not make any influence in both parties that are fighting, that are causing issues within the Khartoum.
It was just 3 years ago, December 2020, actually, that the U.S. removed Sudan from a list of state sponsors of terrorism after 27 years. Of course, that was a very positive step in relations between the two countries. But now with these new, fresh sanctions, will it have any impact, direct impact on the people of Sudan, or is this largely symbolic?
It is so symbolic. It is just a symbolic thing. It will not make any difference. Remember, Sudan has been in the sanction for many years because of the conflict in Darfur and conflict in southern Sudan. All these caused a lot of the sanctions were put in place, and those sanctions did not make any difference. So these generals, they get used to the sanction, or Sudan get used to the sanction. So it will not really make any difference. It is just a symbolic. So it is waste of time for people really to spend time to think that sanction will work. It will not work. We need to think about some of the strategies to engage, the politician in the ground, the civilian in the ground, and also the general that are fighting, the two parties. They need to be engaged rather than just imposing the sanction. So most of the African countries actually are fed up of the sanction from US. That is something that US need to be aware of. So sanctions are not going to make any difference soon. In the nearest future, people will be laughing when they hear that there is sanction that has been imposed here, except those who are having a high connection or more connection with US and also other part of the Western world. Maybe the sanction will work for them. But those who have got no connection, really, sanction will not make any difference. So they will still function the way that they were functioning in Sudan, and they will go with the daily activities or daily routines that they need to do. And of course, they will be talking about conflict, about wanting to defeat each other. So that will be the slogan or the tool that they will be using.
Meanwhile, the conflict is continuing, and we know peace talks have broken down. The UN says nearly 1.4 million people have been displaced in Sudan since this began in April. What is the humanitarian situation looking like in the country right now?
The humanitarian situation is really bad. We know that a lot of people are being displaced from their residence or from the suburban area where they were. Some of the people actually moved to the neighboring countries, such as South Sudan. South Sudan is receiving a large number of returnees and also the refugees. So in terms of humanitarian, is really bad at the moment, and it is a critical time for both, for the country, because it is close to the rainy season, and therefore is going to impact on people, and people that will suffer, or people that usually suffer in the war, are women and children. And if you could see some of the images that are being presented here, most of the people that are really in a very vulnerable situation are women and children. And this is a bigger issue that we need to think from a global point of view. We really need to think about how we can rescue these people, how we can support people that are in need of humanitarian support, who are actually now in the humanitarian crisis. And that is the point that people need to be engaged, and the humanitarian community need to mobilize some resources to be able to support these people.
All right, William Auber joining us from Melbourne. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.